Hey everybody, this is Jonathan Montgomery from the Real Estate Appraisal Group. I want to talk to you today about FHA appraisals. What are FHA appraisals? Basically, they are appraisals. They're actually done for FHA loans. When a buyer is going to use an FHA loan to purchase a home, they need to get an FHA appraisal. So let's dig into this. I'm going to explain a little bit more and kind of give you some insight about what you need to be aware of and some of the common pitfalls that people run into when it comes to getting an appraisal done for an FHA loan. But first, please do this for me. Subscribe to my channel, hit the subscribe button, and then also click on the bell icon. That way you'll be notified whenever I have some new information I want to share with you. As an appraiser, when I go into a new house, it's kind of like opening a treasure chest. You just never know what you're going to find, and there's always some surprises. And I love sharing that with you, with everybody. So please make sure you stay tuned with me. So let's talk about FHA appraisals. So the Federal Housing Authority, that's what FHA stands for. They will insure certain loans through their process. And basically they're protecting the mortgage company, the lender who goes out and they make a loan on a property. So the Federal Housing Authority, or FHA, is saying, hey, we have some certain criteria that we want to meet for that property. And so as appraisers, we are the guard dogs or whatever, we're the ones that are making sure that the property fits their criteria. So when we are doing an appraisal, it's a little bit different from doing a normal conventional appraisal. There are a couple other things that we want to look out for. First off, remember that whenever we do an FHA appraisal, the value that they give, that we provide, is good for 6 months. So that's a little bit different from a normal appraisal. But I always think of we have the 3 S's that we want to be concerned with when it comes to FHA appraisals. They are safety, soundness, and security. Now, safety means, is the structure safe? Are there hazards? Are there any kind of dangerous conditions that we want to look out for? Is there lead-based paint or anything like that that might be an environmental hazard for someone or a consumer or someone that's going to live in that home? And I'm going to dig into a little bit more about that. Soundness is this property well built? Is it built to code, or is it professionally built? Or was there something that's a little wonky when someone added the addition or anything like that? So that's what we're looking for when it comes to soundness. And then security, that's the last one. Now this one often fools people. In fact, I've actually seen other appraisers discuss security and they're giving it the wrong definition. It has nothing to do with the locks on the doors and the windows. We're thinking of the security as in an asset, like a stock. So is this a good security? Let me dig into that a little bit more. When we're looking at the real estate property as a security, we want to know, does it make sense for the lender to invest money into this asset for the long term? Or is there something else that's going to be problematic when it comes to that? Security means, for example, what could be a problem? Do we have a property that's located in a commercial neighborhood or commercial area, but it's the only single family home there? So a lender may say, we don't know if we want to lend on that. And so FHA is also saying, we don't know if we want to get involved in that transaction. It's not a good security. Is it located close to a toxic waste dump or something to that effect? So those are some things that we are looking for when we're talking about the security. Again, I already talked about soundness. Soundness is the property well built? Did they add a roof? And if they did, was it built to some level of code? Was there an addition built onto this house? Or was it done by someone who's just kind of a jack of all trades, and you can really tell that they didn't do a good job when they did that work? So again, we're looking for soundness. And then we want to talk about safety. Now, safety is the one thing that I think we really want to dig into, because this is where it gets a little tricky. And these are some of the things that the homeowners can address or can be prepared to address when they're getting involved with an FHA loan. Now, first off, the sellers are the ones that are probably the most nervous, because they may be asked to cure some of these items if they come up. But when it comes to safety, these are some of the most common things that I've experienced or that I've seen other appraisers deal with when it comes to FHA appraisals. In fact, they may say, hey, we need to have this issue addressed. So peeling paint is a common item that you're going to hear about. If we see a lot of excessive peeling paint, and especially if that house is built prior to 1978, it needs to be addressed. Now, all you got to do is make sure we don't have that flaking paint coming off of there and paint over it. We don't want peeling paint. It doesn't have to be beautiful, okay? It just should not be peeling because FHA is concerned we don't want young children to come in there and start eating that paint and then suffer from potential lead poisoning. Loose wires. If you got loose wires somewhere, go ahead and secure them. Tie them up and button them in with some plates or whatever you need to do. Even if you think that wire is not even hot, just secure it. I even advise people, even if it's a low voltage wire, like it might be a speaker wire or something like that, just secure it because those are some of the things that they may be called out on an FHA appraisal. Missing handrails, all right? Anytime you gotta go up and down 2 or 3 more stairs, put in a handrail there. If you don't like it, just install it just temporarily so that you can get that appraisal done. Mold. Mold is a big one. If there is something that even looks like it has mold, then go ahead and address it. Get it taken care of. And then the last one I would say right offhand that comes to top of mind is water that should not be in the house, okay? Actually, there's water 2 ways. Water needs to come out of the sink properly, so we need good water flow coming out of all the sinks and the bathtub, shower, stuff like that. So the appraiser is gonna walk through and turn on the faucets and just make sure that water's flowing out freely. They're also gonna check your appliances and make sure they at least come on. But when it comes to water, if we see water in the basement, then that's gonna be a problem. There's gonna be a red flag. Now, if you just happen to mop something up and you just didn't clean it up so well, I would advise that you go in and mop it up because we don't wanna see water sitting in the basement. That's gonna be called out. So those are some of the safety and sound and some of the issues that I see come up over and over again. Broken windows, especially if there's glass. We just want to make sure that someone can walk into that house. They're not tripping all over the place. They're not getting shocked and they're not going to fall. Anything that has anything to do with those issues, and of course, eating lead-based paint, we don't want that. So I hope that helps you. Now, what happens if you are a home seller and let's say that you decide to put your house up for FHA, then the FHA appraiser comes through, which could be me or it could be one of my colleagues, and we're doing this and we see something and we're gonna call it out. Then what you have to do, or what you have the option to do, is repair it. Now, personally, I have purchased houses, and in fact, my current home, we got an FHA loan, and the seller was not repairing that. He was not doing anything. In fact, we actually bought the house. We told him we're buying it as is, but I knew I was gonna have some problems with getting the FHA loan on there. But what ended up happening was we let the appraiser go through and he called out all his items. He had a little list of things. There were about 6 or 7 of them. And I myself went and fixed them, even though I was the one buying that house, because I knew the seller was not going to, and he really actually had no capacity to do it. And I just didn't trust his work. I didn't trust his ability to do it. So I was like, I want this house. And I went and got those things repaired. I put some Band-Aids on some issues because at the end of the day, I actually was gonna renovate the entire house anyway. So I wasn't too concerned. And then the appraiser came back and he looked at what we did. We had some peeling paint somewhere. So I went there and got a little wire brush. And then me and my son, we painted over that area. It looked like an amateur did it, but it addressed the issue. There were a few loose wires. We went and tied them up, got some tape, and then we put them in some of those little plates. I forgot what you call them, but we just took care of all of those issues. Those were some of the things that had there. Everything else was pretty minor. But again, the appraiser then came back out and they just checked to make sure that those items were addressed, and then we were good to go. The whole process was pretty painless. And again, if I go back and I'm looking at an appraisal, and I'm doing an FHA appraisal and I'm doing a re-inspection, I'm just looking for the issues that were called out on the original appraisal, whether I did the appraisal or not. That's what you have to look forward to. It does not have to be a big deal. Most of the time, the issues are minor and they could be dealt with relatively quickly. If you have a house that if there's a major issue, then you probably want to go against accepting an offer where the buyer is using an FHA loan. Like if you have a totally damaged roof, then there's a good chance you're not gonna pass FHA or something like that. But anyway, I hope this helps you. Again, subscribe to my channel. I look forward to talking to you, and I'll see you on the next one.